Hey, Mamie Carson here with OneJoyousSkip.com. Today I'm going to be creating a really sweet birthday card using this stamp set by Hero Arts, and it's an ice cream stamp layering set. And I'm going to create some interest on my card using one of my stitched scalloped oval dies here that I got from Cat Scrappiness store, and I will leave a link below where you can pick this up. I love this die. It's one of my favorite dies and I use it all the time, and I'm going to use it a little bit differently this time. I'm going to add a little bit of interest at the bottom of my card, and I'm going to do that by putting my die right there, and I'm going to run it halfway up the die to create a nice little elegant border at the bottom. So I only ran it halfway, and it gives me this really great little border down here with the scallop and stitching. I'm also going to be using this paper pad by Lawn Fawn, and they are all like rainbow colors. They're really great for summer. I've been reaching for it again and again for all of my summer cards. And I'm just going to use one of the really colorful ones in the end. I'm going to cut this down to size so that it can just fit on a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card base, top folding. And I'm just kind of making sure I have all of my elements ready and to see how it's going to look. And this is what the end product is going to look like as far as the structure of the card goes. So I'm just going to go ahead and adhere that down and have that ready to go. So now it's time to work on the layering stamps for my scene here, and I'm going to be using my Distress inks on some Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I'll tell you why as I go along, why I decided to go with the Bristol Smooth. I always grab for the Bristol Smooth when I'm using any kind of watercolor inks or inks that can be used with water. Even if I don't plan on doing a lot of watercoloring, just to add a little bit of extra shading if I wish to. And that's why I use that here today. I also created a little mask so that I could mask off the ice creams because I am setting one in front of the other. So if one of your colors is not dark enough when you're doing your stamp layering and you feel like the colors aren't close enough, you can double stamp. That can make your color a little bit darker so the colors come closer together as far as matching. But also what I did was I took a Wink of Stella clear glitter brush pen, and I am just going over the entire image to kind of blend together those colors so there's not such a stark contrast. And as you can see here, it just kind of brings those colors together a little bit, blends them together, and just kind of creates less of a contrast so that it looks a little bit more realistic. And so that's one of the reasons that I use the Bristol Smooth, because you can blend nicely on top of those with just a little bit of water. You don't want to use too much water because it's not necessarily made for watercoloring. And now I'm going to go ahead and stamp down my other cones while I have that little mask there. And I made that mask with some Post-it tape because I'm out of my regular masking paper. I'm in the market now for looking for some new masking paper because I am completely out of the old kind that I used to use. So I'm still trying to decide which kind I'm going to go for next. And as you can see here, this is such a great stamp layering set here. It gives you a really realistic looking waffle cone. And so now for my next ice cream cone, I'm going to be stamping it, and I decided not to double stamp it. It ended up looking dark enough. And so I'm going to go over the top with a color that's almost completely different. I really needed like a limey green type color, and so I decided, well, I'll just make sure that I blend them together really well. And so what I did was I stamped off a little bit of the darker color on a palette, and I picked up some of that color so that I could blend it together here to make the ice cream a little bit less contrast so that it would blend well and look a little bit more realistic in the end. And so as you can see there, it looks a lot better once I went over the top of it just with a little bit more color. And now I'm going to stamp my last ice cream cone here. And when you're using your distress ink, sometimes your impression will be a little bit splotchy, and sometimes that's okay. I mean, it's ice cream, so you know, it is a little bit bumpy, so it does give it a nice little effect, so I wasn't too worried about that. But I do go over the top again with my Wink of Stella, so that kind of smooths out all of the color as well. And so here I am blending out this color a little bit also. And so what I'm going to do next is take a little bit of the colors that I use to make the cones, and I'm going to push that down, stamp that, put some of that down on a separate palette so that I can pick up some of that color and add shading to my cones, and that adds a little bit extra realism to it and a little bit of shading. So that's what I'm going to be working on next, is creating the shading for my ice cream cones. And as you can see, my hand kind of reaching off the view there. It's because I am grabbing a little bit of that darker color of the cones, and I'm coming under, adding a little bit of shading, and that will help the images pop even more. And I am using all of this painting with my Wink of Stella, and the reason that I'm using the Wink of Stella is because it's pretty much completely out of its glitter. It does have a little bit of glitter left, and so I'm just using that as my brush so that I can get a little bit of glitter and shine, and also be able to use it as a water brush as well. And now I'm using one of my gray Zig clean color real brush markers, and I'm putting that also off on a separate palette to create the shading outside of the ice cream cones. And that gives them a little bit more of a 3D effect. So I'm going around some of the parts of the ice cream cones that would have some shading to the left of them, because I have my light source coming from the top right. But actually, if I would have done it correctly, I think it's from the top left, because the way the layering stamp set comes, it gives like the highlights on the left side of the ice cream. But I wasn't thinking about that, obviously. So I just kind of went around the ice cream cones as if the light source was from the top right, and the sun is hitting it and casting a shadow to the left and the bottom of the ice cream cone. So that's why I'm just adding a little bit of that with a little gray. And that just helps the ice cream cones pop off the page a bit. I'm also adding just a tiny bit of shading underneath the cones as if they are standing straight up. And I'm blending that out. So now I'm going to take the sentiment that comes in the set, and I'm going to use my Versafine Onyx black ink. And I'm just going to stamp that right over the ice cream cones. And it says sweet birthday wishes, and then there's another little stamp set that comes with it that says with sprinkles on top, and I did put that sentiment on the inside of my card. So now I am just looking at the layout of my card and what finishing details I want to put on it, and so I decided to go with a little bit of twine to put around the top of my card. So I'm going to wrap a little bit of that twine around and tie it off. And then I'm also going to create a little bow off to the side so that I can get a double loop bow. I use this little thingamajig here that helps me make my little tiny bows. And I'm just going to take a little bit of glue and adhere that little bow right there on top. Kind of mess with this thing a little bit. Okay, so now I can start putting my card together, and I'm going to pop up this front panel that has the ice cream cones with some foam tape. I'm going to put that right on the top of my card base here. And the layout is looking really cute. And I'm just going to finish it up, making sure everything looks really nice, and I'm going to blend out some of that shading a little bit more is what I'm doing there. And now I'm going to finally add some sequins to finish off my card. And that's going to be my card for today. I really like this stamp set. I think it's great for summertime and it's great for birthdays. This is part of my summer series. I will have all of the items that I use listed below down in the description box. So make sure that you are on my YouTube channel so that you can get that description with the links and everything. And my YouTube channel is Mamie Carson. So it's MamieCarson, and you can just find me in YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel and, you know, like and comment on my videos. I love hearing from you guys and chatting with you guys. So yeah, I appreciate you guys coming by, and I will see you really soon in the next video. I hope you enjoyed.